What's going on, guys? Killer6 back with another legendary item guide for you, and this time we're farming Fractis here in Carcadia in the map the Grindstone of the Worthy. So as you can see, we're going to start our farm from the Rustical Hurl Order Silo, and we're going to head immediately eastbound, and we're heading right here on the map so that we can fight Fractis. Now Fractis is a order bunker, so his entrance is actually right here on the map. Keep that in mind. See these sets of buildings, look for that, and this interesting roadway, this mountain, you're gonna find this bunker. So let's head over there and get this farm started. So when you jump out of your order silo, just head immediately right here to your grapple, grab this, and it's gonna fling you in the right direction. So we're gonna follow our marker and grab our vehicle here real quick. You're gonna head up this mountain pathway over here, down this mountain past these lava pools and these trees, and you're gonna see this building over here. Now this site has two different entrances, and this is the only one that's open without doing a side mission. But once you do that, you just come over this way, and when you first get here, there's going to be a bunker door over there. There will be a thing that you can grab over here so that you can come down here and blow up the door. It's one of the easier ones to get into, but then once you're in this bunker, it's just pretty much a straight path to get to the boss. Now I say it's a pretty much straightforward path, and I do mean quite literally go straight forward. When you go forward, you're just going to go through all these little doors. You have to squeeze through that first one, then you have to slide under this one. And then when you get here, you're actually going to hang a hard left. You go down this way, and in here, you hang a right, slide under here, and then you're going to hang this first left. And then when you get to this room, you got to go behind these boxes, and they'll see a hole in the wall. You jump up, and then you just follow the pathway around. And then there's a grappling hook. I always look the wrong way. I don't know why. And then that puts you right to Fractis. Now, if this is your first time here, you won't have the Moxie's big encore machine. Make sure you grab your ammo before you drop in. If you have been here before, you do need to purchase your encore so you can fight this guy again. So let's jump in and wreck this fool. Now Fractis has a shield bar and then a health bar. So anything you got that's like really good shock damage, you want to use that for the first phase. And then, well, we don't get a second phase if you're using my Rafa build. As you can see on the first run, we got a Protean Cell, which is one of his drops. So there you go. And then I'll go ahead and show off the other two drops. The first of which is the Chuck. And as you can see in this footage, I got my shiny Chuck from this guy. That's right. Even though the Chuck can also drop from the Foundry Freaks, I got my shiny from Fractis. So keep that in mind. That said, I've also farmed Fractis for hours before not gotten a single Chuck. So it's a very, very strange boss fight. And then the final thing that he can drop is something else that you guys have seen before in an item guide, and that was the UAV, which can be dropped by our guy Mimicron. So realistically, the only thing that this guy actually drops that you can't get elsewhere is the Protean Cell shield. So if you don't want to farm Fractis for this, then obviously just do the Foundry Freaks. It is a bit longer of a farm to do the Foundry Freaks because you have to clear the waves of enemies, then you have to kill the bosses, and then they just seem to have just a generally low drop rate for their items anyhow. Whereas Fractis, you pay the toll, drop in, murder, check the loot, etc. You know, it's just a faster farm over here, and that's most likely why it was so much easier for me to get my Chuck here than it was to get it from the Foundry Freaks. All right, so let's start things off with the item that we just now got dropped. It's the Protean Cell. Now this is a shield manufactured by the Order, and it is not my favorite. And you'll see why here in just a second. The capacity on the one that I've got here is 25,484 with a regen rate of 1,084 a second, regen delay of 3.4 seconds. This one is shock, and the gold text says direct current ground slam. To toggle this effect while enabled, it drains shield over time to grant 40% bonus shock damage, and damage taken passes through your shield. Yeah, it's a little scary to use this thing as intended, but keep that in mind when we test this thing out and see what you guys think. The red text says electrical resistance is futile. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just use our Rafa build here. We're gonna drop down, we're gonna slam, and now any damage that these guys apply to me is going to be extra, and it will go right through any shield that I have. but I'm also going to do extra damage. So it's a lot like the enrage effect on certain items that gives you more damage, but at the cost of your own damage taken. So can be very powerful if you have good defense, or if you're, you know, gonna be on a build where you can, you know, regen some overshield perhaps. But all in all, it's a decent shield. It's going to give you extra damage, something to consider. And again, if you have the right build for it, you can make it work. Up next is the Chuck, and you guys probably already know about this guy by now. This is my shiny, my favorite shiny, my first shiny, the Chuck. Now the one that I've got here is the Replicator Chuck with homing, and this one is amazing. The DPS on this guy is 5,727. The base damage 982, which sounds scary low at level 50, but trust me, this thing wrecks. Accuracy 79%, reload time 0.7 seconds. It reloads super fast. Fire rate is 10.2 shots per second, and the mag size is 10. Gold text says pitcher, and you can see mine has the replicator homing, so it throws 2 guns that home in, and the red text says what a tosser. Just, you know, slang stuff. Now I have a lot of things that make my Chuck even better. Obviously I've got my build. With my Rafa build, I get indirect damage on a lot of things, and that indirect damage is just crazy with this Rafa build that I'm using here. The other things that I'm using, I have the TDR enhancement so that it consumes less ammo. Now another thing that you can do is you can get a TDR that's going to increase your mag size, and this makes it even crazier. So if you get one that increases your mag size by 50%, then you go from a 10 mag to a 15 mag, which means even more damage on every throw. It is also going to consume more ammo on every throw, but that damage is going to be nuts. So realistically, if I'm doing a boss fight with this build, it's probably going to benefit me to switch off to this one, so that I have that extra mag size, so that I do extra damage per throw. But if you want to know what the Chuck does, well, I mean, I kind of showed it off versus those enemies a second ago. Let's use it without the Protean Cell so you can see what it's like on my normal build. And as you can see, we just completely destroy. And one of the best things about this for me, a guy who can't aim, is I can literally just stand here, chuck these things out, and they're going to track down enemies for me. And honestly, I don't really need to do a whole lot other than make sure that I find some ammo every once in a while, and otherwise I just let this thing do all the work for me. It's pretty crazy. I love it. It's one of my favorite guns across the entire series now. It's one of those guns, when I first saw it and first saw what it did, I was like, oh, okay, TDR, not a fan, and then immediately fell in love with it after using it on my Rafa for a while. This thing's great on all the characters, though. It doesn't have to be Rafa, but one of my favorite assault rifles, one of my favorite guns in the franchise, quite frankly. And then finally, the last thing in this guy's loot pool is the UAV, and I'm just going to go ahead and put in my footage from the previous UAV video, because there's not really anything else to say other than I don't like the UAV. I don't find it fun to use. Maybe you do. It's up to you. And that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.